don't want to watch that tea, motherfucker.
Yeah, man. Well, we've got a good half hour before we can.
Who's setting the bed up? Who's setting the bed up?
It's all done. They put it in the lounge for you.
Right, you're sleeping in there then.
Fuck that. I'll think of it tomorrow.
Dude, I can't sleep in there. You've got to. I can't be woken up tomorrow morning and sit and wait for you for an hour and a half.
You won't. No, tomorrow I'll get up. You have my word on that. I will get up tomorrow. Plus, you'll have your earphones this time.
Yeah.
So you'll be fine. They won't stop you. Just have your earphones. You'll be fine. Right. We filming?
We are filming.
Okay. Remember, don't look at the camera because I know you're used to doing that. Stop looking at the camera.
I'm not looking at it while my problem is I don't know where to look.
Just look over this way. Okay. So moving on, I want to talk about like I said earlier, about the boom period after Salvation. You had Doomsday, and then UBW just seemed to take off. What was it going into Vendetta that you knew? Obviously, something wasn't quite right with Doomsday, which is why it wasn't as good as Salvation. What was the mentality of the roster, and what was your personal mentality going into Vendetta as far as the feuds and the matches went? And what do you think went right and made that show what it was?
So once we'd done the Doomsday show, our next show was going to be Vendetta. We actually took 2 months off from taping. To this day, I can't remember why that is, but I think a couple of roster members went on holiday. So we filmed Doomsday in late April, early May. We filmed Vendetta in June, July sort of time. So it was quite a big gap in the taping. I remember looking forward to it immensely because the Insano Johnny Madden match, and we had a 2 out of 3 falls tables match lined up between Danny Ace and Extreme Dave, and I don't think I'd ever seen a tables match with more than 1 fall in it. I've seen elimination ones before between tag teams, but I've never seen one like that, so I was really looking forward to that. I went into Vendetta dreading the show, to be honest, from my own point of view. So I mentioned before how we put the belt onto Max and he was going to have a long title reign. And then he won the belt, and then one day out of the blue, between the Salvation and Doomsday tapings, Max comes to me and says, I can't do this anymore. Max was quite overweight at the time and he was having big problems with his knees. And he didn't think he could wrestle. And I said to him, like, right, here's the thing. I need 2 more matches. So don't worry, we won't have you on wrestling on Rico. Because he won the championship. And then at the Salvation taping, he had a match against the Freak. Just a little squash match, which is what I really wanted, like loads of little matches with Max where he just battered people at the same time. So he would batter someone like the Freak, who's just a jobber, but then when it came to a proper match on free per view, he would get the shit kicked out of him and then like win with a roll up or win because someone interfered or something like that. So I was just like, okay, fair enough. I need 2 matches from you. You have got to fight Dave at Doomsday because Danny interferes in that match, and that's the catalyst for the Danny and Dave feud going forward. So I need that match to happen. You've got to do that. If Dave wins that match, that feud doesn't work, because why would it? It's like Danny interferes but Dave still wins. That doesn't make any sense. So you've got to do that one, and then I need 1 more match from you after that one where you can drop the belt and you can retire if you want to. And it was one of the things that was is that I mentioned before how there was a lot of people who watched UEW who watched CRCW. And the big feud in CRCW was Champagne versus Max Carnage. So we wanted that to continue, and we thought that was one of our money matches, is the truth. And the fans seemed to agree with that because it's a match they wanted to see. So going into Vendetta, it meant that I had to win the championship. Now I really didn't want the belt. People will look at it and go, bollocks, you own the company, it was your company or whatever, you started it all, people saw you as the face of the company, you obviously wanted to put the belt on yourself. Absolutely, couldn't be further from the truth. I did not want the belt. But also, because Max was broken down, and I think Max will agree that of all of us on the roster, Max was probably the worst wrestler. I knew that getting a decent match out of him was going to be really fucking hard work. So it was interesting because we taped our match after the other 2 matches had gone down, just going, the fuck are we going to do? Because they've been so brutal. But what we'd worked out, me and Max, is we were going to take every shortcut we could think of. So we used powder, for example. We did this powder spot because I was just like, that's a fucking brilliant shortcut. We used thumbtacks, but then of course everyone else used thumbtacks. And what we thought is if we can just tell a story, then we've got them. Because one of Max's finishing moves was a cross arm breaker. And Champagne likes to use the elbow drop off the ladder, so if he misses that and Max Carnage puts the cross arm breaker on, the fans will believe there's a chance that Max could retain it, and we like that. And then of course Champagne had beaten Johnny Magnum in the Iron Man match at Doomsday with an ankle lock. So if Max can just do one move where he fucks his ankle up, there's a chance that Champagne can get the win there. So we could tell a nice little story where two or three times we put on each other's submission moves, and we've got that. And then of course the flip side of that really nice little storytelling is that Max was blown up 2 minutes into the match. So I just stall and stall and stall. The finished product of that match, the original footage, is double the length of it. Because I'm having to take, at one point for example, I go to leave, I go, fuck it, and I start to walk back up the entrance ramp. And it's one of those, it says your career's on the line here. Why would you do that? You know, it doesn't make any sense. We have to do loads of things like that. And when you watch the match back now, Max will do a move on me and I get up first because I sell for what feels like ages and then get up. And what we've done is we've trimmed it down because I get up first. There's no way to edit round that. So you see him do a move and then I get up first. And the only way that we could cover it was on commentary, or me as Sir Arthur Hayes has to say, look, it's just because Champagne's got better conditioning than Max Carnage. He's not any tougher or anything like that, it's just he is trained harder for this. So we put the career versus career stipulation on it because Max couldn't continue. So I went into Vendetta, like I say, I was not looking forward to it, and it's not a favourite of mine. And it's one of those, I feel like, it's one of those matches where I think, because I think we all felt as a roster that the championship match would be the main event. There was only one show that we did where that wasn't the case, and that was done for a reason, and that was Domination. But the title has to go on last. But that was one of those shows that I think it's one of those times where match quality should have dictated what order the show goes, and so it should have been that we had Johnny and Insano, and then the championship match. I think the 2 out of 3 tables match should have gone on last, personally. The other thing I wanted to just quickly point out about Vendetta is one of the things that really fecked me off about Vendetta is the fact that we had Liam Styles versus a guy called Lion, which was taped up in Whitehaven, and it was everything that I'd fought so hard to have in UBW. So I wanted multiple cameras. It was filmed with one camera, for example. It was filmed with no referee, which is something I insisted every time we had a referee. And the biggest sin from an editing point of view, in my eyes, was that it was filmed with live commentary, which Johnny Magnum provided. So Magnum was commentator and referee. So I couldn't do any commentary for it. And this match, these guys insisted went on the show, which is why, if you ever watch Vendetta, that's the opening contest, because we can get it out of the way. Because I didn't want to go, we couldn't, because it was filmed in a different location, we couldn't do, right, let's have Johnny Magnum versus Insano, and now we're going to go to Whitehaven for reasons. And that, to this day, bothers the fuck out of me. I've never watched it back. I watched it once when we had...
Night!
I've literally never watched it back. I watched it back the night we edited it, and then, Jesus Christ, I'm currently creating the UBW YouTube channel, and I literally just edited I didn't watch it, I knew where the end, start and end points were, and put them in. It was horrendous. But so, Vendetta's a show of two halves for me. It's got 2 really good matches on it. My match I'm disappointed with, and then that opening contest is the absolute fucking pit.
I'm not going to talk about Domination with that battery. What I'm going to get you to talk about, just while I pop out there and you're going to talk to me as if I'm here, is talk about how you didn't want it to be necessarily an entire hardcore fed, but still have hardcore elements, Vendetta kind of gave you the best of both worlds because there was good wrestling on that, there was hardcore on it. When you watch Vendetta back as a package, did Vendetta kind of encapsulate what your image of UBW was, and were you satisfied with the end product?
Nice, good question. So I mentioned earlier on that I wanted a very different direction for UBW than excuse me, but so I mentioned earlier on that I had a very different So I mentioned earlier on that I had a very different idea of the direction of UBW to take than the one that Pete wanted to go, and I wanted to focus primarily on technical wrestling and storytelling. If you want to swing a chair, if you want to go through a table, then so be it as well. As long as it makes sense. Vendetta, I felt that for the most part, at least for the hardcore element of it, was exactly what I wanted it to be. I wanted decent brawling, I wanted decent wrestling, and the only show that came close to it, to my final vision, was Relentless. Relentless was the show that I just encapsulated everything about it. But Vendetta is right up there. I think the thing about Vendetta is I think it's just an easy watch as long as you skip that opening contest. Vendetta's just simple. It's a dead easy watch, and it's it's a show that I'm particularly proud of. The opening package I'm really proud of. It's one of the things that I used to really pride myself on in UBW, was that as the editor I made all the opening packages, and the Vendetta one I'm particularly proud of. I really like that.